Hey, welcome to this episode of One More Voice. It's been a while. Some of you have noticed, some of you have reached out to me asking whether or not I'm still doing the podcast. And I am, obviously, here I am, but it has been a few weeks. Where I live in the Midwest, we had some pretty severe storms lately and kind of exposed how weak my internet was. I didn't have fast enough internet to even upload the interviews that I was doing. Trying to process interviews on YouTube, that wasn't working because everything was so slow. So I had to switch providers. So shout out to Starlink because now that it's no issue at all. I am instantly on like 8 times faster and we have no problems at all. But in the meantime, I kind of went through a weird period. I shouldn't say weird because it's common for me. Maybe it's common for you guys too. Something with this, the podcast was kind of out of sight, out of mind. And I'm so busy, as many of us are, that I'm like, well, that just feels like a chore. It's just one more thing I have to do. Even though I am passionate about this material, this brand of spirituality that we talk about on the show. And I do feel that this is more for me. I love that some people get something out of this, but every time I do an interview, I feel like it's for me specifically. I'm sure it is. The universe, God, whatever, is very efficient if it can serve a million people. Where maybe it could have served one, it's going to serve that million. So it serves everybody all at once. But specifically for me, I love to listen to podcasts, especially on material like this, near-death experiences and spirituality and channeling and just, apparently psychedelics. That keeps coming on the show and coming to me. And it's all related, but to listen to it is one thing, but to be doing it yourself, it's just, I kind of feel honored just to be doing it. No matter how big or small this show is, that I'm doing it and I'm getting positive feedback from listeners. I'm getting positive feedback from the guests. And just the fact that I was gone for 2 or 3 weeks and I had just a few people reach out, listeners and guests, just randomly, because I was kind of asking my own guides and team, should I be doing it? Because you hear so many differing things like life works when you just go with the flow. Um, so I'm like, well, my flow is my family needs me. I guess I'll say, everyday down to earth things like we're remodeling the kitchen. I've got a daughter who's graduating in a few weeks. I've got another son who's turning 13 and he has schoolwork. And right now he's in a slow period. He's not in any sports, but we've got a 7-year-old that's in travel baseball. I'm a husband, you've got your relationship to tend to, the house to tend to. We have chickens and fruit trees to plant and a small little farm here. And there's always something that needs to be done every second of the day. So I'm in a band, we have practice. So it's not like I ever need to look for things to do. And it was just easy to let this go by the wayside. The momentum was fizzling. And I'd asked, is it something I really need to be concerned with? And when I was thinking about these things, one of the, we'll call them God winks. And when I say God, I mean, the source of all things, call it the universe. I don't care. God's it's a nice word. It's easy to say. One of my God winks is what some of you are familiar with, angel numbers. These repeating numbers, usually in threes, 222, 555, 444 is a big one, 1212, 1010. And I became aware of these numbers before I became aware of them very organically. Nobody told me about them. It wasn't when I was reading. It's just, I was so often seeing this repeating number, specifically of 222 on the clock at first, but then it wasn't just on the clock. It would be on my tripometer in my truck. Watching a video, you'd pause the TV and you'd see the video, the timer on it, it'd be at 222. And then I would start to see 444s. I have a radio in my truck that, when you shut the power off, the clock resets. It's a Milwaukee, battery operated, work radio. And also I'll go and I'll turn that on and it'll randomly so often be 222. Well, the clock's not set. It's not 222 in the afternoon. That's just the time that pops up, or 1212 comes up a lot. Things like that. So what I take that is what I'm calling a God wink. And, you can even look up these numbers, and they generally say the same thing. You're supported, you're on the right path. Sometimes there's a big change coming. It gets very vague, getting a reading with tarot cards and things like that, but it's still well beyond coincidence. And to me, it just means, hey, you're not alone. Yes, there is this spiritual side of things. Yes, we interact with you. And depending on what I'm thinking about, like, for example, should I continue doing the podcast? Is it worthy of my time? I have so much to do. So regardless of whatever the number was, 222 444 10 10 12 12 11 11 is a big one. I just take that as I was thinking about this at that time. Then I see the number. I'm taking that as a, yeah, you're on the right track. So I had that happen a lot. I had, Carol Morgan, she was a guest, second or third show. She just reaches out to me randomly. We don't talk a lot on the phone. We don't text a lot. It had been months, and she just said, "Hey, Jake, I was just thinking about you, and wanted to check in with how you're doing. How's the podcast going?" And I told her, well, my internet got bad. I haven't done it in a while, and I've just been busy with life, and things are kind of fizzling, I guess. And she's like, "Well, don't let that don't lose the momentum. What you're doing's worth it. Continue on, get back to it, as soon as you can." I also had, he was another guest, Brad Yoakum. And during the interview, even though I hadn't really mentioned what had gone on, with the podcast, towards the end, he said something to the effect of, "Hey, just take this to heart. Basically, what you're doing is good work. It needs to be put out in the world. Don't give up on this. Keep going." And I heard that. And that to me was something I was ready to receive and hear. He was the first interview I did after the hiatus. And just today, actually just maybe an hour ago, I had a friend reach out because I post short clips on social media of the shows, and a friend commented on one of the clips and say, "Hey, I wondered if you were still doing this. I'm glad to see you're still doing this." So just one more thing. Like, to me, this is how the universe speaks to us. It used to be in my mind that, well, it's got to be all Hollywood. I've got to hear voices, disembodied voices. I've got to get some mystical, magical, twinkling fairy dust falling from the sky on me and have this epiphany. But it's this down to earth, the spirit is all pervasive. That's all there is spirit. It's right here. And this is the frequency I exist on, the density that I'm in, 3D. So it's going to speak to me in this density through people, through angel numbers, through whatever it is that I'm going to notice. That's what it's going to speak to me through. And when you do notice it, because I know that you guys know what I'm talking about, a lot of you, about these angel numbers, the more you do notice them and say, "Hey, thank you, thanks for being here. I saw that. I acknowledge that," the more that will come up. And I know they have a name for that. Like, I can't remember the name, but say you buy a new car and suddenly you see that same model car all over the place. They have a name for that. Like, your brain recognizes things that it's looking for. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm looking for these angel numbers. I am aware of them now, and I do notice them more. But that's just up to you. I choose, and that's what all we can do. I choose to believe that is how my higher self, the universe, God, speaks to a lot of us. That's just an easy way to do it. And I know that some people, they get much more. They get the Hollywood version. They do hear voices. They do have visions. They do see things. I'm not one of those people. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Doesn't really matter. But I was getting those winks along the way that, yeah, don't give up on the podcast. And I knew in my heart not to do that. And I do have a habit of letting things go. Sometimes just because I'm over it. I'm tired of it. But this is one thing, this subject matter of spirituality, near-death experiences, the unknown things in the world, and how we can connect to spirit, has always been an obsession of mine. And of course, it's something that I should be doing, regardless of whether even anybody's listening, because what I get out of these interviews is so fulfilling to me. So yes, I am back. And another thing that happened along the way was that I had lost. I double booked a few interviews. I got so overwhelmed with life and so overwhelmed. I had so many people agree to do the show that I forgot to write a couple of them down, and I either double booked them or forgot them altogether. And I felt so bad about that. I called them, reached out to them, emailed them, texted them, in every way that I could communicate with them. I tried to apologize because I felt so bad, but that also kind of hit me, and I'm like, man, do you have time for this? Because I don't want to be wasting my guests' time. I mean, I don't know how much these people are busy. These people I mean, they all generally have businesses based around a service that they have related to spirituality and personal growth, or they're teachers, or they're just busy people. And they were going to give me their time. So I almost, like, in a way to punish myself, was like, do you need to be doing this? Are you just too podunk? You need someone who's scheduling your stuff for you, because I'm doing it all myself. But that was just, that's kind of the imposter syndrome that, I have for sure. And I'm sure a lot of people have, that really got bolstered up and strengthened by that. Because I'm like, I can't be wasting people's time. So I have set all that aside. All the self-doubt, the habit of out of sight, out of mind. I'm just going to let it go. And I'm back. And I intentionally didn't book any guests this week. I'm like, I'm going to come back by myself. So there's no pressure to have to keep a time, because I have somebody else I told them we would meet at 4:30 and all that. I'm going to start booking guests again, and we'll get on with it. But today it's just going to be me. And I want to kind of, reiterate, my wife's always telling me, you need to do recaps of these episodes. And she's like, one of the things I like most about it is listening to you talk. And I, jokingly said, well, you're biased, because my wife's so supportive of me and is my biggest cheerleader. I'm like, you're just, you just love me. That's why you want to hear me talk. And, she kind of smiled and acknowledged that, but also said, no, that's, there you go again. You're not giving yourself enough credit. But getting on here, I'm like, okay, I'll just wing it. I'm just going to tell people what's been going on with me and the life I've been living up to this point. So what I have been really feeling lately is a desire to reconnect with something that I haven't felt since I was younger. Like, something's missing, and I have a very fulfilling life. I think it's a very healthy and passionate marriage. 3 healthy kids who are phenomenally talented and just great kids that I'm invested in. Um, you know, Small hobby farm that's this time of year is just beautiful in the spring. The red buds are blooming. We got chickens that are running around the yard, and 20 acres to look at. There right now, it's turkey season around here, so there's turkeys walking through the yard. I mean, my point is, I love my life. Uh, but something deeper than that nothing outside of me is going to fulfill, has really been calling me lately, this connection. And I'm feeling like it's a connection, to put it simply, it's a connection to nature. It's a connection to the earth. I felt it more as a kid, but because I had that time away from the podcast, I had time to kind of feel that. Um, I've been working for myself for about the last 3 years, and it's been exciting. It's actually been fun. It's new, it's fulfilling, because, it's just me, and it's been successful, but that's kind of fizzled. I don't want to say that I'm bored with it, but that's pretty much what's going on. And now I'm back in the grind of things. And something has been calling me for years. It's like, something's missing. And I think a lot of you guys feel it too. There's something deeper that's just missing. That's why this renaissance in spirituality, I think, is occurring. Is the world, at least in America, society is so artificial, flimsy, and just empty. I mean, how much amusement can we consume? How much fear-based bullshit news can we consume? What are you going to do on the weekends? Well, you're going to go out and drink and eat somewhere. And what else? Not much else. No matter where you go. That's the other thing. I've got friends that live all over the country. Friends that lived in Las Vegas, and friends that live down in Destin, Florida. All these places where people from the Midwest would go to go on vacation. And I'm like, what do you do when you get there? You go out and you drink and you eat. What is there to, what's being offered by the culture in America other than this shallow amusement that's not good for your body or your soul? So that's what I feel like a lot of us are feeling. Um, and there were a lot of moments lately where, because I stopped trying constantly to be doing the next task that needed to be done, my wife and I both are like, we got to take a break. We got to do something that other than just the next thing on the list that needs to be taken care of. And we were successful in doing that. You know, we set aside some time for ourselves, but we find that we don't even know what to do with ourselves when we have this free time. There were multiple weekends recently where the kids were at her parents' or they were at a friend's house, and we had the house to ourselves. And we're both like, well, what are we doing? Well, oh, you know what we're going to do? It's either you're going to go out to a restaurant, pub, have a drink, and eat, and then come home and go to bed. Or we don't do that, and then it's like, what are we going to do? So we did start a new exercise program. It's a yoga program, which I recommend to anybody. I'm loving that. I'm obsessed with that. But just to be confronted with that idea that I don't even know what to do with myself if I'm not completely busy taking care of all the have tos in life or working, or just going out and drinking and eating. That's what there is offered by the cultures, to be consuming and to be consuming garbage. And I am one. I mean, I'm by no means an alcoholic, but I've drank enough to where it's habitual, where I'll even crave a drink. And I know that that's not serving my highest interest. I mean, I'm on here talking about raising your vibration and your frequency and things like that, knowing that alcohol lowers it. And I don't drink every day, but I still will fall into that because it's like another thing that you kind of get burnt out on is trying to be perfect, having this idea of what it's like to be a spiritual person, and how you need to keep up on it, and keep up on your physical health and your mental health. Watch your thoughts, be conscious of your thoughts. So then these negative emotions don't come in and you attach yourself to negative emotions and you spin out of control. And before you know it, you're angry about something, or, blah, blah, blah is what it feels like a lot. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of practicing it. I'm tired of doing it. Is the state that I've found myself in recently. But I know there's no turning back. There's no other alternative. I can't just get, I don't even want to say drunk. I can't be tying on a buzz every night and eating garbage constantly because it comforts me. That's what we just, we don't want to feel our feelings. We don't want to feel that sadness that maybe we got from childhood, or wherever you get your heartache, or wherever you developed these fears that lead to your constant anxiety, and the reason why we're one way or another, we're all using something, whether you're on prescription pills or not, whether you're using alcohol, whether you're using marijuana, whether you're using food. And that's a big one for me, or mindless amusement. Speaking of the food, I since the last podcast, I did go on a fast. I was inspired. I mean, fasting's always been a thing for me for the past 10, 12 years. Ever since I've heard of a 20-day water fast. So that'd be 20 days with nothing but water. Back then, that's what I thought, nothing but water. But lately, as I dig into fasting, um, a lot of people that do water fast, they'll take a Celtic sea salt, some magnesium and potassium. And one of my past guests, and actually the last guest, Brad Yoakum, he completed a 40-day water fast. So that kind of inspired me, since fasting's always been kind of a thing of mine as well. Like, not trying for a 40, but I was going to do a 72-hour water fast, so 3 days. 3 days. And I made it 60 hours. And so, 2 days and then a night of sleep. What it really exposed to me was my addiction to food. Using it as a drug, using it as comfort, as something to do. And that I know so many of us do. When you go to town and people go shopping, it's just a given that, yeah, you're going to go somewhere to eat, not for your nourishment, not for your health, but you're going to go out for entertainment food. You're going to a restaurant, probably have a few drinks, whether it be sodas or cocktails. Mine's always cocktails, beers, and eat more than you need to eat, even if you're not hungry. Eat. And that really exposed that in me, how much I use food to distract myself from, well, what was exposed was to distract myself with how I feel. And I don't want to say a lot of anger in me. It's not anger, but there's just an edge to me. If I'm not comforting that, if I'm not, I guess, numbing it with food or other substances, and it's mostly food, then I just have this edge on me. And I do think that it's from constantly being busy, feeling pressure, doing things that I don't really connect to. not staying present in the moment because there's always something else to do. So my wife and I, we're always in a hurry. And I know so many of you are too. You're always in a hurry to get to the next thing because you got to get things taken care of because there's always something else to take care of. And all that, that really came up to the surface when I wasn't eating. And that's a big one. But there's so many health benefits too. So I don't really want to go into to the fasting, but if you're interested in fasting and its benefits, it's really amazing what that can do for your body after just 16 hours and then 18 hours, 20 hours, 24 hours. The autophagy and how your cells will heal themselves, where your body will clean out basically junk, cellular material, dead cells, cancerous cells, and it'll start burning body fat for fuel rather than sugars and carbs, and just so quickly start to feel the benefits. So that, like I said, that was another thing that I did while I was gone, was fasting and getting more into an exercise program. But I kind of fell off. It's like one thing went away. So since I'm not doing my normal routine of having weekly interviews and doing my weekly routine, it just kind of fizzled out. And I say fizzled out and fell off, like fell off the wagon. That's one way of looking at it, but also trying to find a balance of you've got to live your life too. And yeah, I used to think the way to be, because in my mind, I wanted to be this spiritual person, this guru, basically Christ, or I don't know if you've never read Carlos Castaneda's books. I wanted to be like Don Juan, or I wanted to be a Buddha. I just wanted to be this evolved human that was beyond the physical world. And almost like I believed the point of life was to try to escape life. Um, and I've realized over time, of course, that's not the point of life. We came here. We came here to be humans. We came here, the point of life is to be engaged in life and, partake in things that are of the flesh. I mean, finding a balance of denying the flesh and enjoying the flesh while you have it. But it's, the thing for me is balance is hard. It's like, I'm an all or nothing dude. Like, well, I didn't work out today, so I might as well not eat good today too. And, well, I'm not doing the podcast and talking about spiritual principles and practices. And so I might as well not even worry about it and just go off into the world and do the things that people do. And did. And, in the end, did enough of it to where I felt like crap. And, I don't want to do it anymore. But yeah, I'm probably rambling and all over the place. But I'm just kind of, like I said, just giving people the rundown of what I was doing, where I've been, and where I'm at. But I also wanted to, like I said, kind of reiterate what the show's about. My wife bringing up the recap. In general, I could recap it all with a story by Neil Donald Walsh, and I want to read that story. And I don't know if it's legal. I don't know if I could somehow get in trouble because I don't have the rights to do it. I contacted the publisher, and they didn't get back to me. Um, so I'm just going to do it anyway. I don't know why they'd have a problem with me plugging their book because it's phenomenal. I recommend anybody buy it, read it, whatever. But Neil Donald Walsh is the author of the Conversations with God series, which is also profound in terms of getting you to understand concepts that are related to the fact that you are an energetic being who chose to be here, and that not just an energetic being, you are God in a logical way, because everything is God, because all that there is God. Because if in the beginning there was God, that's the prime energy, what would God have to create with other than itself? How could God even know itself if it didn't create this thing that we call life? And not just human 3D physical life, but whatever life experiences throughout the universe are, all of that is God playing itself out in a myriad of ways in order to have experiences rather than just knowing itself. This is how God can experience being what it is. So that's what I think that this story does a phenomenal job of. I'm going to read it. I own this book and I cannot find it anywhere. So what I'm going to do is read off of a PDF, and sometimes these ads pop up. So I hopefully when I go to edit this video, I can edit out all the dead spaces where the ads pop up and I have to stop and either let them run or click off of them. So that's what's going on there. And that's actually what I'm dealing with right now as I talk about this. But this is The Little Soul in the Sun by Neil Donald Walsh. And I think it's absolutely perfect for this show. In fact, it's what I wanted the theme of this show to be and the guests to talk about us and what it is to be a soul down here having a human experience. Now, it is presented as a children's book, and I think that that's perfect. It even has illustrations, beautiful illustrations that go with it. And it's perfect because I don't want to say that a lot of people don't understand these concepts, but they've forgotten them. And we've been programmed in such a way that's so far away from this as being the foundational truth of existence, that it does need to be presented in such a simplistic way. In fact, I even think Einstein, I won't quote him correctly, but he said something to the effect of, if you can't take a concept and explain it to a 5-year-old in a manner that they can understand it, then you don't truly understand that concept. So Neil Donald Walsh does a beautiful job of doing just that. And let's see if I can get through this without the ads destroying my attempt. But this is The Little Soul in the Sun by Neil Donald Walsh. Once upon a time, there was a little soul who said to God, I know who I am. And God said, That's wonderful. Who are you? And the little soul shouted, I'm the light. God smiled a big smile. That's right, he exclaimed. You are the light. The little soul was so happy, for it had figured out what all the souls in the kingdom were there to figure out. Wow, said the little soul, this is really cool. But soon, knowing who it was wasn't enough. The little soul felt stirrings inside and now wanted to be who it was. And so the little soul went back to God and said, Hi, God. Now that I know who I am, is it okay for me to be it? And God said, You mean you want to be who you already are? Well, replied the little soul, it's one thing to know who I am and another thing to actually be it. I want to feel what it's like to be the light. But you already are the light, God repeated, smiling again. Yes, but I want to see what that feels like, cried the little soul. Well, said God with a little chuckle, I suppose I should have known. You always were the adventuresome one. Then God's expression changed. There's only one thing. What? Asked the little soul. Well, there's nothing else but the light. You see, I created nothing but what you are, and so there's no easy way for you to experience yourself as who you are, since there's nothing that you are not. Huh? Said the little soul, who was now a little confused. Think of it this way, said God. You're like a candle in the sun. Oh, you're there all right, along with a million gazillion other candles who make up the sun. And it wouldn't be a sun without one of its candles. That wouldn't be a sun at all, for it wouldn't shine as brightly. Yet, how to know yourself as the light when you are amidst the light? That's the question. Well, the little soul perked up. You're God. Think of something. Once more God smiled. I already have, God said. Since you cannot see yourself in the light because you are the light, we'll surround you with darkness. What's darkness? The little soul asked. God replied, It is that which you are not. Will I be afraid of the dark? Cried the little soul. Only if you choose to be, God answered. There is nothing really to be afraid of unless you decide that there is. You see, we are making it all up. We're pretending, said the little soul, and felt better already. Then God explained that in order to experience anything at all, the exact opposite will appear. It's a great gift, God said, because without it you could not know what anything is like. You could not know warm without cold, up without down, fast without slow. You could not know left without right, here without there, now without then. And so, God concluded, when you are surrounded with darkness, do not shake your fist and raise your voice and curse the darkness. Rather be a light unto the darkness, and don't be mad about it. Then you'll know who you really are, and all others will know too. Let your light shine so that everyone will know how special you are. You mean it's okay to let others see how special I am? Asked the little soul. Of course, God chuckled. It's very okay. But remember, special does not mean better. Everybody's special, each in their own way. Yet many have forgotten that. They will see that it is okay for them to be special only when you see that it is okay for you to be special. Wow, said the little soul, dancing and skipping and laughing and jumping with joy. I can be as special as I want to be. Yes, and you can start right now, said God. What part of special do you want to be? Well, God explained, being the light is being special, and being special has a lot of parts to it. It's special to be kind. It's special to be gentle. It's special to be creative. It's special to be patient. Can you think of any other ways it's special to be? The little soul sat quietly for a moment. I can think of lots of ways to be special, the little soul exclaimed. It's special to be helpful. It's special to be sharing. It's special to be friendly. It's special to be considerate of others. Yes, God agreed, and you can be all those things, or any part of special you wish to be at any moment. That's what it means to be the light. I know what I want to be, the little soul announced with great excitement. I want to be the part of special called forgiving. Isn't it special to be forgiving? Oh yes, God assured the little soul, that's very special. Okay, said the little soul, that's what I want to be. I want to be forgiving. I want to experience myself as that. Good, said God, but there's only one thing you should know. The little soul was becoming impatient now. It always seems as though there was some complication. What is it? The little soul sighed. There is no one to forgive. No one? The little soul could hardly believe what had been said. No one, God repeated. Everything I have made is perfect. There is not a single soul in all of creation less perfect than you. Look around you. It was then that the little soul realized a large crowd had gathered. Souls had come from far and wide, from all over the kingdom, for the word had gone forth that the little soul was having this extraordinary conversation with God, and everyone wanted to hear what they were saying. Looking at the countless other souls gathered there, the little soul had to agree. None appeared less wonderful, less magnificent, or less perfect than the little soul itself. Such was the wonder of the souls gathered. So bright was the light that the little soul could scarcely gaze upon them. Who then to forgive? Asked God. Boy, this is going to be no fun at all, grumbled the little soul. I wanted to experience myself as one who forgives. I wanted to know what that part of special felt like. And the little soul learned what it must feel like to be sad. But just then a friendly soul stepped forward from the crowd. Not to worry, little soul, the friendly soul said. I'll help you. You will? The little soul brightened. But what can you do? Why, I can give you someone to forgive. Can? Certainly, chirped the friendly soul. I can come into your next lifetime and do something for you to forgive. But why? Why would you do that? The little soul asked. You, who is a being of such perfection, why would you do that? You who vibrate with such a speed that it creates light so bright that I can hardly gaze upon you. What could cause you to want to slow down your vibration to such a speed that your bright light would become dark and dense? You who moves through the kingdom with the speed of your thoughts to come into my life and make yourself so heavy that you could do this bad thing. Simple, the friendly soul said. I would do it because I love you. The little soul seemed surprised at the answer. Don't be so amazed, said the friendly soul. You have done the same thing for me. Don't you remember? We have danced together many times, through the eons and across all the ages, how we have danced. Across all time and in many places we've played together. You just don't remember. We have been the all of it. We have been the up and the down of it, the left and the right of it. We have been the here and the there of it, the now and the then of it. We have been the male and the female, the good and the bad. We've both been the victim and the villain of it. Thus we have come together, you and I, many times before, each bringing to the other the exact and perfect opportunity to express and experience who we really are. And so, the friendly soul explained further, I will come into your next lifetime and be the bad one this time. I will do something really terrible, and then you can experience yourself as the one that forgives. But what will you do? The little soul asked nervously. That'll be so terrible. Oh, replied the friendly little soul with a twinkle, we'll think of something. Then the friendly soul seemed to turn serious and said in a quiet voice, You're right about one thing, you know. What is it? The little soul wanted to know. I will have to slow down my vibration and become very heavy to do this not so nice thing. I will have to pretend to be something very unlike myself. And so I have one favor to ask of you in return. Anything, anything, cried the little soul, and he began to dance and sing, I get to be forgiving, I get to be forgiving. Then the little soul saw the friendly soul was remaining very quiet. What is it? The little soul asked. What can I do for you? You're such an angel to be willing to do this for me. Of course this friendly soul is an angel, God interrupted. Everyone is. Always remember, I have sent you nothing but angels. And so the little soul wanted more than ever to grant the friendly soul's request. What can I do for you? The little soul asked again. In the moment that I strike you and smite you, the friendly soul replied. In the moment that I do the worst to you you could possibly imagine. In that very moment. Yes, the little soul interrupted. Yes, remember who I really am. Oh, I will, cried the little soul. I promise. I will always remember you as I see you right now. Good, said the friendly soul, because, you see, I will have been pretending so hard. I will have forgotten myself. And if you do not remember me as I really am, I may not be able to remember for a very long time. And if I forget who I am, you may even forget who you are, and we will both be lost. Then we will need another soul to come along and remind us both of who we are. No, we won't, the little soul promised again. I will remember you and thank you for bringing me this gift, the chance to experience myself as who I am. And so the agreement was made, and the little soul went forth into a new lifetime, excited to be the light, which was very special, and excited to be that part of special called forgiveness. And the little soul waited anxiously to be able to experience itself as forgiveness, and to thank whatever other soul made it possible. And at all the moments in that new lifetime, whenever a new soul appeared to be on the scene, whether that soul brought joy or sadness, especially if it brought sadness, the little soul thought of what God had said. Always remember, God had smiled, I have sent you nothing but angels. That to me is everything. That to me is the most perfect and simple explanation of what's going on here with humanity. And so many of us now are starting to remember that we came here to play roles for ourselves, for our own learning, for our own experience, but also for others. What are some of the things that you think you came here to learn? I ask myself that a lot. And how do I decide that? It's what are the things that I feel like I basically need to work on? What things make me charged? What makes me uncomfortable? What makes me angry? I do know that I need to learn to experience myself as someone who is worthy. Now, for me to experience myself as someone who is worthy, I have to have felt like I was not worthy. And growing up, I've said this before on this show, growing up, I did feel like I was not worthy of being here in the sense that I wasn't as worthy as everyone else. I wasn't as cool. My opinions didn't matter as much. Um, I wasn't as good looking as others through middle school and high school, or, I didn't have enough money, or I just, I didn't have that sense of self-worth. I didn't have that sense of confidence that at least I thought other people had. So I have had the experience of developing and fostering a sense of self-worth. And I think that that's valuable for people to be able to validate themselves rather than to look outside themselves for validation. That's self-worth. The fact that you exist is proof that you're worthy of being here, or you wouldn't exist. So, that's just one example. So what are the things that you struggle with? That's probably that part of special that the little soul was talking about. That's the part of special that you came down here to learn. What are some of the things that other people do that trigger you? Because that's going to be something that you probably came down here to work past. I know that my wife, because she has said so, has worked a lot on judgment, judging others. She felt that she had that modeled to her, judgment of others and also self-judgment, because you can't judge others and then in turn put that judgment on yourself, because that's really where it's coming from. So, and that's very much related to what I dealt with. Letting go of that judgment of others, seeing them, ultimately, hopefully seeing them as these perfect little souls who came down here to play all these parts for us and themselves. But, with the near-death experience and listening to some of these people's experiences when they go through their life review, finding out that there are certain people in their lives that only came here, they only incarnated in order for the person who died and came back, of course, they only incarnated to help that person learn a lesson, which means they went through all the experience of being born, of having a childhood, of growing up, and they still dealt with all the bullshit that life can throw at them just so they could help this person, the near-death experiencer, learn a specific lesson. There was a story of these two sisters. I think they were talking to a channel. And these two sisters had a brother who was a severe alcoholic, a very lovely guy. They said they loved him dearly. And the alcoholism got a hold of him so deeply that he was homeless and living under a bridge. And they were killing themselves over trying to save him. And they didn't. He died. And what this channel explained, because this would have been, like a medium who was able to talk to spirits on the other side, explained that it was in those two sisters' soul contracts with their brother that they were wanting to learn the special trait of acceptance. They had to accept their brother's alcoholism, accept his lifestyle choices, accept the fact that it killed him, without judgment. And they could have never have done that if there was nothing for them to have to accept in the first place. You don't have to work at it to accept someone who's, doing something that you think, well, they're living right. That's nothing that you need to accept. It's the things that we look at as being wrong that you have to learn to accept. So he went through a lifetime where, yeah, he had to face the trials of alcoholism, but he had all the hardships that come with life all along the way. He incarnated. He slowed down his vibration and left perfection, left heaven for those sisters out of love, just like the little soul and the friendly soul in the book. And that they were lucky enough to be able to come to that conclusion that they had a soul contract with him, and it was because of him that they could experience themselves as being accepting, because that's a special trait of a soul, at least from our perspective as souls. These are the types of things that souls desire, because if you're an eternal being, what is, and over there on the other side, it's described as, things manifesting at the speed of your thoughts, you being able to, there's no limitation over there in a sense, because you over there, you're limited to having the experience of not being able to be physical. You're limited in the fact that you're not limited. You can't experience being limited and separate unless you come to a place like this, to Earth. So, it's kind of a contradiction in terms to say you're unlimited, but yet you are limited, because over there you can't have the unique experience of being a human like you can here. And that's what this place is for. And that's what I want to help wake people up to. And I do feel like world would have probably woken up. I mean, probably, they definitely would have woken up without me, but I felt called to be one more voice saying that. One more person sharing the voice of Neale Donald Walsch and all my guests to say, hey, wake up. We came down here by choice to have experiences that have true value to us as souls. Because everything down here that I was talking about earlier, all this empty culture that we have, even if you're quote unquote successful and you have all the toys, and say you have this perfect body that looks like something out of a magazine, whatever, you don't get to take any of the shit with you. None of that means anything over there. What matters over there is how you treated others while you were here, how you treated yourself. Did you meet all those milestones along your soul's blueprint along the way? Did you come down here and experience that special thing that you wanted to come down here and experience? Because another place to find some deep truths is to read. A lot of these hospice nurses now are on social media talking about the things that their dying patients realized that they valued. And a lot of them are like, I just wish I wouldn't have worked so hard. I wish I would have spent more time with family. I wish I would have fostered relationships more and stayed in touch with my friends more. And even as I'm saying this, I don't stay in touch with my friends very well. I do make it a point to go and be in this band, because I wouldn't see my brothers if I didn't have this band. I have a sister too, and I've been in a band with her. If it wasn't for music, if we didn't actively go do music, we wouldn't see each other. And music's another gift that I was given. I do know, I mean, I've worked on it and I've developed my skills, but I do have I came in with a certain ability. Music comes easily to me. And that's one of those things that I'm like, you need to share that with the world, even if it's, just last week I was playing guitar so my nieces could sing a song, and that's me sharing my gift so they can share their gift, and just doing things like that. But, stories like The Little Soul in the Sun, they also help you realize there is no good or bad. That person who does something god awful to you, what it's there for, that might be one of the most loving souls, one of your greatest friends on the other side that volunteered to come down here to do this thing to you, this traumatic, awful thing to you, so you would have at least an opportunity to learn forgiveness, to learn acceptance, to learn unconditional love. Now, I know some of the things that happen to some of you are just terrible. Child abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, whatever. So I don't say that and want to make light of it like it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. Life's extremely hard. But from the perspective of an eternal, indestructible soul, it is just an experience that was to be had to serve your expansion. You become more when you have these experiences. You get to be the things. And this is how God expands, because God is all that there is. How is it ever going to be itself? It could know itself. It's like saying, yeah, I'm fantastic. I'm amazing. But how would it ever experience that? Because it's all that there is. There's nothing to compare it to. But if you come down here and you experience yourself as being small, individual, separate from everything, and a lot of us don't say to ourselves, we're amazing. We tell ourselves that we're not special, we're nothing. And then your life is over. I mean, hopefully you learn that you are special and that you are amazing, but if nothing else, just having the experience of going through a lifetime of where you experience separation and being, having no self-worth and this or that, when you finally leave the body and go back to the other side, you can truly appreciate now the grandeur and the perfection of what you really are. This boundless, eternal peace of unconditional love. You can truly experience it because you had this lifetime as a contrast to compare it to. The deeper we go into the depths of sorrow and pain and separation, it's like directly proportional to how we can experience the opposite of that. The higher we fly towards the opposite of that, the deeper our sorrow, the higher our joys. The deeper our separation, the more profoundly we can appreciate the unity that we have on the other side. So if nothing else, let's say God created earth so it could appreciate heaven. God created earth as a gift to us, which are little pieces of God, so we could go back to our home and appreciate our home. It's like, when you're home, you're like, I need a vacation. I got to get away. Well, if you're like anything like me or my wife, 4 or 5 days away, we want nothing but to be home. And when you get home, it's the greatest place on earth. I'm so glad to be home, but you need to get away from home for a while. So here we are. We're on a little, I wouldn't call it a vacation in the sense that we came down here to be comfortable. We're more on like a retreat, which brings me to something that, comes to me every now and then. We talk about all these spiritual practices and things like that on the show. There's no greater spiritual practice than being a human. I mean, we're already spirits. We come down here to practice the things that we want to be because it's down here that we have this separation and limitations to be able to experience those things that we would, to experience trauma, to experience somebody doing something to us so we could experience forgiving them. We could experience accepting that things happen this way and all is well. So I hope I didn't ramble too much in the beginning, and I hope that you got something out of The Little Soul in the Sun. Again, that was Neil Donald Walsh, and his books, Conversations with God, are phenomenal. He has 3 of them. They're enough to turn your life around. So I I'm glad to be back. Thanks for listening, and keep listening for more. Follow me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, and I've got more guests coming. So, all right, you guys have a great day.